Hey guys, Stephanie with AmericanMuscle.com here with this BBK cut and clamp Resonator Delete X-Pipe available for 2015 and up GT Mustangs. The Resonator Delete X-Pipe from BBK is going to replace the factory Resonator that in my mind just restricts the new GT and adds unnecessary weight. It's going to be a good option for someone that's looking for an aluminized steel mid-pipe that isn't going to cost a ton, but that is going to open up a good amount of sound easily and quickly. Swapping out the Resonator mid-pipe for a traditional style mid-pipe like this X-Pipe from BBK is a way to get around having to purchase an entirely new exhaust system in order to change the tone of the exhaust, even with the factory axle back still installed. The factory Resonator style mid-pipe is basically another muffler. That means another muffler to choke the power and the sound of the GT. So by eliminating this muffler or Resonator style mid-pipe and replacing it with a standard type of mid-pipe that's free-flowing like this BBK X-Pipe is, you're getting rid of a bottleneck and you can expect a good amount more volume from the exhaust even without changing the factory axle back. This X-Pipe does reuse the factory cat, so you're still going to be smog legal and still pass emissions and get the change in sound that I've talked about at the same time, so that should give you a good idea of just how restrictive the factory mid-pipe is. Now this is an aluminized steel mid-pipe, and material is something that you should always consider when you're shopping for exhaust. The material of the mid-pipe is really going to drive the price point, and this mid-pipe being aluminized steel is what helps to keep it more on the price-friendly side than some of the other offerings that are out there. So aluminized tubing has some upsides and some downsides as well. Like I already said, this type of material is going to be more budget-friendly, so there's your upside right there. The sacrifice that you do make, however, though, is that the metal is prone to rust and have corrosion over time, especially if it sees harsh road conditions. But if that's something you're not concerned about, or you live on the West Coast, or your car is in a daily, then it's not going to be a big deal to you. If you're looking for a long-lasting system that can handle the weather, or if your car sees some of the awesome road salt like we see here in PA, you're better off shopping for a 304 stainless steel system instead. This X-Pipe has a 2 3/4 inch diameter, and it is mandrel bend, which is typical to see in exhaust parts, but mandrel bending helps with airflow, and the whole purpose of this Resonator Delete is to have better exhaust flow for more power and more sound. And like the name implies, this is a cut and clamp mid-pipe, which is how you're able to reuse your stock cats. But it also means that you can pair it with your stock mufflers, or you can run it with an aftermarket axle back. So you cut out and remove the factory Resonator and clamp into place the new X-Pipe no matter what axle back you have. But either way, you'll still maintain the use of the stock cats and you'll have that improvement in sound. So this is an X-Pipe, and like a typical X-Pipe, you can expect more of a raspy note from your exhaust and a lot more volume. If you don't want a raspy note, you should stick with an H-Pipe setup instead, and there is a cut and clamp H-Pipe that's currently available on the site. H-Pipes tend to be a little bit deeper sounding, while the X-Pipes produce a little bit more volume with that raspy note. So on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being the loudest and keeping in mind that you're still going to have your stock cats and axle back, I would rate this X-Pipe as a solid 2. Of course, if you ever change your axle back, or even your headers for that matter, the X-Pipe's going to make things a lot louder, so just keep that in mind. Depending on which axle back you end up choosing, you could be looking at more of a 4 on the loudness meter. So if you don't want a system that's too loud, just keep in mind your mid-pipe when you're shopping for other components. A great side effect of replacing that Resonator with an X-Pipe is dropping a good amount of weight. The factory Resonator adds some pounds to the S550, so replacing it with a simple X-Pipe will be dropping about 25 pounds, which is just another little plus even if you aren't trying to make weight. As far as price goes with this X-Pipe, it is one of the most affordable on the site. You're looking at spending a little over $200 if you want the BBK here, but there are other brands, other materials, and other price points if you want to shop around for something else. Either way, the X-Pipe Resonator Delete is a fast and easy way to totally change your exhaust. And if you think about it, if you pair this with an aftermarket axle back, you've effectively created a cat back for your GT and you've paid a lot less for it. As for the install, you do have some flexibility here. Like the name suggests, there will be some cutting involved, but nothing too difficult. If you take your time, it's going to take about 2 hours to complete, maybe less, and I'm going to call this a 2 out of 3 wrenches in the difficulty meter, but mainly just because of the cutting that's involved. The X-Pipe does come with brand new clamps for the rear, and you will reuse the factory front clamps, but you do always have the option of clamping the front and welding the rear of the X-Pipe if you want, but that's up to you or your shop. A lot of people like welding the rear better, but that's not something that you have to do. So wrapping this up here, this is an aluminized steel Resonator Delete X-Pipe that can work with either the factory axle back or an aftermarket one. It also works with the factory cats, and it's going to free up some sound and volume from the GT. It's a great way to inexpensively change your exhaust note, and as always, you can check it out more online for yourself. And for all things Mustang, keep it right here at AmericanMuscle.com.